God only knows where I'd be without you, Suki.
Handsome, how are you? What's going on?
What's going on, babe? Look at us back up on the old Facebook Live.
Yeah, you're looking handsome as ever. Look at me. The allergies are like cranking.
What's going on? We'll let everybody start to light it up. And
really good. I mean, it's like the kids are back at school full swing. I'm sure a lot of people out there totally get that. The news, who cares about the news? There's nothing really important going on.
Well, there is important, Souk. There's important stuff going on, but
there is important stuff that I know you're going to talk about. Being a guy,
yes, it has to do with Adam Levine and his thumbs and his texting and his Instagram fingers. And
I mean, haven't we had other people like remember Anthony Weiner here in New York and Uma Abedin, who's now dating Bradley Cooper, allegedly?
Yes. Yeah, but Anthony Weiner was doing like underage stuff.
No, they weren't underage. It was just naked DICK pics.
Yeah, but one of the girls was like 15, 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
But listen, Adam Levine is, God, he's married to Bahati.
Bahati. You love saying her name, Bahati.
I love that. Bahati. And
a Victoria's Secret model.
Victoria's and allegedly, and he didn't deny it. He said he never had, but we'll talk about this after the show starts.
But look, everybody's coming on.
Everybody's lighting up. Everybody loves when we come on.
I just want to tell everybody I was working on a project once again for TLC, the Learning Channel, of course.
Little
TLC,
Sister
your favorite
Wives.
network. Little Sister Wives action, So that's the project I was working on. Phil kind of pinch hit it. Thank you, Phil. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
Scotty.
Souk, you don't listen. I've never seen somebody cry as much as Phil did last week. We had Jackie Evancho on the show from American Idol fame when she was 10, and now she's grown up and she's 22.
I know who Jackie Evancho is. I mean, she is a superstar, international superstar.
So she came on. We had her sing a few songs, and every time she sang, Phil was crying
because what can I tell you? Her voice has that power. It's so
No, I know. Philly Kid was crying.
Angelic,
He was really moved. But anyway, listen, we got a great show. We'll talk about all that stuff. David Leaf is coming up, award-winning writer, producer. He's got a new book on. It's a remake of an old book, but he's got the new book coming out, all about the Beach Boys, which I believe it's out already. It's a phenomenal book. And then later on, Elaine Hendrix, who's on Dynasty. Of course, she played Meredith on Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, and she's getting an award as an activist, for animals coming up in Beverly Hills. So we got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. So let's get it started in here. Let's get it started in here. Souk, you ready to rock and roll?
Always.
Come on, baby.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
Suki and Scott, the Seven of Hearts. Woo! Exactly!
This is a sexy show.
Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey as they bring you the Suki and Scott Show.
You guys nailed it. You're great. You ask great questions. You listen.
I answered you because I have respect for you guys, and it was a question respectfully put.
The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor.
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor.
Entertainment.
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
And optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Ultraviolet light, it gets in there and it just fights the kung flu, is that right? Okay.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
That's the best intro for a show I maybe have ever seen.
Really?
Your intro is fantastic.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Damn, I forgot to take it off the loop.
I was like, is there a tech? You know what I thought? I thought
I always forget to take it off the loop.
Yeah, I thought there was like a technical issue, and then I was like, yeah.
They'll never see it. They'll never see it in post-production,
okay.
so they'll never see it. Listen, babe, David Leaf is coming up in just a few minutes. He's the author. Listen, the guy, not only is he a historian and very close to the Beach Boys, But he's
Director.
also he does it all, and he's also he teaches
At UCLA.
at UCLA, and I believe he's got a class tonight. So we can't spend too much time futzing around here.
I wonder what the class is on. I mean, I know
yeah.
it's music related, but what is the when you pick out what kind of music you want to class you want to do?
Vivaldi. So he's got this book out. It's called God Only Knows: The Story of Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, and the California Myth, which is kind of a second take on a book that he had written earlier, many, many years ago. So we're going to talk to him about that. Not only that, but he's literally has worked with so many big names in the business. So David's coming up in just a second. And, we had started talking about it before the show. What's going on with Adam Levine?
What's going on?
What is going on? Adam Levine is trying his best to make things better with a very upset Bahati Prinsloo.
I mean, can I ask you a question?
What?
Is it so surprising that a man got tired? Who said it? Was it Chris Rock? After a while, even the hottest piece of what is still the same old,
Listen, I get it.
A man is only good as his options.
Yes, Howard Stern says you're only as loyal as your options. And if you have a lot of options, it's very hard to be loyal. But he says he never had an affair. He was just, he wrote things. He got caught up and he wrote things to all these different women, whatever it is.
Oh, so he was diddling digitally.
Right. He was digitally
diddling.
having some fun. But the amazing thing is that he, according to one of the women, he asked her if they can name their new baby after her. Sumner is her name. And he asked her if they could name the new baby after her.
I thought it was after like Sting or something like that. Look at me,
No.
.
It was after this girl's name was Sumner, whatever it is, and she did a whole TikTok of course, because everything breaks on TikTok.
I mean, I don't understand what celebrities do. I mean, they just anyway. Bahati has responded, right?
I don't know. I guess she's. I don't know that there's an official word out from Bahati. Let's see. Adam, he did not have an affair. Nevertheless, I crossed the line during a regrettable period in my life.
God.
And he wrote that yesterday. So, we'll
So what
see
do you think about that? Can you digitally diddle and it's okay,
Listen, it all depends on her. It all depends on how far she wants to put him in the doghouse. If she has a no tolerance policy, then, does diddling lead to actual physical contact? Or is diddling enough with the thumbs?
Isn't physical, emotional intimacy all tied into the one aspect of trust? I mean, call me crazy.
I guess. I mean, listen, if you're having conversations, with somebody else, and it turns into, adult talk,
she's actually pregnant as well,
Yes.
So let's just,
well, that's what I'm saying. He asked the girl he was talking to if they could name the daughter after her. That's the amazing thing. And then on the opposite side, Suk, how about this from today? Drew Barrymore can go years without sex. Drew Barrymore said on her show that she could go years without sex. Years, Suki.
I mean, maybe she's having like the Sting-like tantric sex, like she can sit and go into a state of, total.
I have an idea.
She has that Zen possibility of clearing the body. I don't know.
I have an idea before we bring David Leaf in. So last week, Will Presty was on, right?
Will
was on the same show as Jackie. And Will is still single, very good looking kid, smart, funny, right? In his mid 30s.
Isn't he like in his 30s?
To us, he's a kid.
Okay.
So I told Will that I want to do a similar, like you used to host on TLC, a Fine Love Live.
Right here.
I want to put out a little ad. And I said, Will, I will find you 3 of the most beautiful girls you've ever seen. I can't tell you what kind of personality they have, but I'm going to find you 3 beautiful girls, maybe, whatever it is. I said, we got to do a Fine Love Live with you on this show.
Eligible. We got to find somebody.
Suki and I will host the show. You ask the girls questions. You can eliminate one by one. We could do 4 girls, whatever. And I think he agreed to it. So I'm going to try and set that. But what we should do is we get Drew Barrymore on the show.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
And we bring on Will. and he throws some of his funny shtick around, and next thing you know,
Do you-
Will's dating Drew Barrymore.
Do you think a guy could go years without? I mean, is that the difference between men and women? Like women need that emotional connection, and obviously, she's been married a few times. Of course, she's a child star. Fame of
Men can't go
Barrymore
years without
family. I
sex.
mean, she was, what did she become like? Clean at the age of like 20 something after.
Yeah. Her dad was a big guy, right? The
Well, I mean, I
Barrymore
think,
Theater.
in E.T., she was like 10 years old. Her mom was
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
her out. I mean, there's lots going on. Dysfunction, child star dysfunction.
Yeah, but I think that
But
would be
she
a
cleaned
great
up her
idea,
life,
Stu.
and she has 2 beautiful children, and she was married, and she
she's
was
got a
married to
great-
that comedian, Tom Green. Remember that?
She was married to Tom Green. Now she's single now. She doesn't
Yeah,
have
she's married to a
anybody right now.
director, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know all her
But
she's lovely.
we
you
got to
know.
set that up, Suk. We got to set it up. So we're gonna. I got to do that with Will, and we're gonna do a little Fine Love live.
I think sex is a spiritual experience. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
not for me. No, no spirituality in it whatsoever. I'm pretty. I'm just a basic Suk. I'm a basic guy. There's not a lot. When I look like I'm thinking about something, there's really not a lot going on.
Not a lot going on.
But anyway, listen. So David Leaf is here, and I put up the book just so I could kind of change the screen around. But here's the book that's out right now. I want to bring in David. It's called "God Only Knows: A Story of Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, and the California Myth." And nobody is closer to these guys than David Leaf, Suk. So this is going to be a fantastic spot. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, David Leaf, right there on
David,
the
how
show.
are you?
I'm doing great. I'm not going to comment on the last 10 minutes because whatever I say will get me into trouble. But Scott, you stole my thunder right at the beginning of the show. I was going to sing "God Only Knows" because that's the title song of the book.
Dave, be my guest, my
And,
friend. I
well,
love
then I
when you guys
Dennis
sing.
Young and Vanessa Williams. It's like maybe at the very end I'll do a verse.
Listen, you were so close to the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson. How'd you never become a member of the group?
Well, I'm close to Brian, and I knew his brother Dennis pretty, a little bit too. We were pals, but it's like 2 different universes.
Right.
The Beach Boys and Brian Wilson. And that's 10 days ago. I was up at Brian's house. He was autographing some copies of the book for a scholarship I established at UCLA, the Brian Wilson Scholarship for composing, arranging, and producing popular music. People go to my website, leafprod.com. They can actually buy those books. He is, when people like Bob Dylan and Sir Paul McCartney and Barry Gibb and Randy Newman and Questlove, they all look up to him. So he is maybe the greatest composer of his generation. And kind of nobody knows it. That's him in the middle there when he was young and still touring with the Beach Boys. That's about 1964. So it's almost 60 years ago. And he's really had a rocky ride from the very beginning. But he made just a lifetime of beautiful music.
I mean, yours is the definitive book. It's being called the definitive book about Brian. What is it? What is it about your book, that David, that you were able to talk to Brian and really understand that whole sense of what they were able to encapsulate at that time?
I'm not sure what it is about the book, other than I wanted to tell the story, and I set out to tell the story. I was inspired to tell the story by his music. So I didn't want to tell the story that you can look up on Wikipedia.
Right.
Anybody can get those facts.
Look at those pictures.
You could spend an entire week looking at pictures of the Beach Boys online. What could I tell that would be unique? And in this new edition, I'm looking back on the last 40 years of our friendship, of Brian and my friendship, and this roller coaster of a journey that we've gone on, because he really had some tough times. He was under the control of this weird doctor for 9 years. As Brian says, I was in prison for 9 years.
Wow.
And when he was finally released from prison, we began the best years of our friendship. And he did a lot of amazing work. Mm-hmm. So he is a great composer. He's one of the sweetest people you could ever meet. That's him in the middle of the piano on the Beach Boys 50th reunion tour. The guy on his left with the hat on, Mike Love.
Mike Love.
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Love does not love me or like me.
You have a very contentious relationship. Yes, it is duly noted.
I'm what they call a Brianista. There are beach nuts, and there are people who are more on Brian's side. So if Elton John and Paul McCartney and Barry Gibb and all these people are on Brian's side, I think that's the side I want to be on.
Yeah, no, it's just wild when you read about it. Now, this book, what you take off the God Only Knows, and the rest of the title is really the same. Originally, you published it in '78.
Right.
What made you want to, kind of bring it back? Is it all new stuff in this new edition of the book?
So it's actually two books in one. The original 1978 book is in the middle of a big new introductory section, and then about 8 chapters afterwards, bringing it up to date.
Okay.
Because the book's been out of print forever, and it was selling on eBay for as much as $500, and it was like, that's not fair. People want to read this book, and I wanted it back in print, and we got it out there in time for Brian's 80th birthday.
Yeah, you were 25 when you originally wrote this book, right?
Yes.
So I mean, there's been a lifetime of experience for you, a lifetime of, as a journalist, being able to explore themes and ideas, and being a professor of music that you are at UCLA. How were you able to approach this book differently than when you were 25?
That's a really good question, Suki. When I wrote the original book, I was a journalist on a mission. I was like, I'd studied Edward R. Murrow in college, and it was like, wait a second.
You had the handbook, right? We all had the handbook, right?
It was like, you can actually use journalism to tell a story that could change something. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, you couldn't Google Brian Wilson's name and see all these amazing endorsements of his genius.
Yeah.
So I wrote the book as I was grabbing the world by the collar and saying, you've got to pay attention to this guy. He's really important. Because the Beach Boys, that's their image. That doesn't look important. But when you listen to the underlying music, and I started working with George Martin about 25 years ago, and he said to me, if I had to select one living genius of popular music, it would be Brian Wilson.
Wow.
And this is a guy who's working with Paul McCartney and John Lennon. So that's how big a deal he was to the people in the know. And I just wanted to let everybody else know that. To directly answer your question, it was like, okay, now I'm no longer that young guy on a mission. Now I'm sort of an elder statesman looking back on what happened since I wrote the book.
How did you ever befriend him in the first place? I mean, here you are, this kid at GW, studying business administration. Like, how does that even happen? I mean, those encounters were few and far between. And then to be able to translate that into a lifelong friendship and trust.
Trust is the key word with Brian. It happened, I won't say it happened by accident. There was a lot of serendipity in there. First of all, I had to move from New York to LA. So that was step one. But when I was in college, I became so obsessed with the subject. There's this famous album Brian had abandoned in the 60s called Smile. And everybody wanted to hear this album, Smile. And I said to my roommate in college, and it was in the middle of the anti-war movement. I went to the first Earth Day at the Washington D.C. Monument, at the Washington Monument. So we were passionate about changing the world. So Brian Wilson's world was what I was going to change. And I said to my roommate, I'm going to move to California, write a book about Brian Wilson, become his friend, and help him finish Smile, which was as crazy as saying, you know what, I'm going to be president. It's like,
and you did it. You did it all.
Right? And it did. I mean, I wasn't in LA 36 hours when I bumped into his brother Dennis on the street.
Wow.
And I said to Dennis, I walked up to him, and Dennis is on the front as you're looking at it on the left. He was the sex symbol of the group. And to go back to your Adam Levine conversation.
Yeah.
But I walked up to Dennis. I said, "Hi, Dennis. My name is David Leaf. I just moved to California to write a book about your brother, Brian." And he laughed and laughed.
Sure.
And he was like, "Good luck." He just thought because it was absurd, because he knew how difficult it was to get his brother to sit down and talk about anything.
Oh my God.
And 3 years from the day I met Dennis on the streets of Santa Monica, the book was in the stores.
I love it. I love
What
it.
did he think about the movie? What did he think about the movie that was portrayed, his life on?
Brian actually liked it, and I liked it too.
Okay.
You know, it's like any biopic. There are things that could be different.
Right.
But you know, I think his father, they could have shown that he was a little bit nice in terms of he bought Brian a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he built a music room in the house, and the family used to sit around the piano and sing. So music was part of their life when he was growing up. That's actually us in front of the Wilson family home, which had been knocked down, and they put up a monument there about 20 years ago. Both of us had darker hair then.
Yeah, a little bit.
But you know, there's just something about this guy. He was born with this gift, and then he had an abusive father, and the music became his source of healing himself. And he poured so much depth into the music that it kind of traveled around the world and made everybody who heard it feel better.
I mean,
Good
for me, I grew up with Wilson Phillips. So for me, it was like, you know, Cardi Wilson was, you know, that was like, it was kind of like getting to know Brian and the Beach Boys through their music, because it was their dad, you know what I mean? So for me, it was a generational thing in a different way.
Dave, do you have a favorite Beach Boys song?
You know, When I Grew Up to Be a Man was a favorite when I was younger, because it just, you know, when you're 12 or 13 years old, When I Grew Up to Be, it's just a beautiful melody, and it's like, what am I going to be?
Right.
And the song ends with the Beach Boys in the background going 31, 32, 33, 34. And I used to think that when Brian reached the age in that song, he was going to be all better.
Oh, wow.
That's how much wishful thinking.
Yeah,
was
it didn't
going
work
on in
out
my
like
head.
that.
So a favorite song, Wouldn't It Be Nice, is one of their great ones.
Wouldn't it be nice if we
could.
California Girls, certainly.
Yeah.
In My Room was probably the first one that connected with me, because it was just something about, we all, you know, had a place where we could be safe, and
Right.
Brian didn't. So that touched me. Certainly, God Only Knows, which Scott sang at the beginning of the
God
song.
only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what. You know, it doesn't get enough credit, David. I think 409. Remember that song? When I was a kid in summer camp, like I must have been 10, 11 years old.
What is that song? Never heard of
I
it.
remember we were
watch
doing
it
like
soon.
we were doing like, you know, you have to do a skit for the bunk, and it's skit night, and you have to sing, and we did something where we had to sing "She's Real Fine, My 409." Right? She's real fine, I save my pennies and I save my dime.
You don't have to sing anymore, Suki. You don't ever have to Google it and listen to it.
No,
It's terrible. It's one of their worst.
This is like the stuff that Scott did in
Not
camp that
enough credit,
haunted me.
David.
I'm like,
Not enough credit.
that camp shaped Scott so much so.
Dave,
it's crazy.
listen, before there's a couple other things I want to talk to you about, like the Bee Gees doc on HBO, a couple of things. But I found, you know, there are people online who do, you know, they do covers of songs relentlessly. And when we have people on, I like to play covers of their songs, but you're the closest thing we'll get to Brian Wilson. But I found, I want to play about 25 seconds of these two guys that I found online doing Surfing USA. And I happen to think they're excellent.
Oh, geez whiz. I know what you're leading up to.
I'm going to play a little clip. You let me know what you think of these two guys doing a little surfing. I think it's got like almost 1 million views on this video. Here, take a look. Wow.
We're waxing down our surfboards. We can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer. We're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing USA. Where else, Phil? Haggerty's and Swami's. Pacific Palisades. Nice place.
Huh? We got to take that into the studio.
One of those guys was spectacular.
Yeah, Phil.
David, before we go to the Bee Gees documentary, which we were obsessed by the way, how do you take somebody who the private side of Brian Wilson, the public side that he wants to kind of let the fans kind of know about? How do you balance and toe that line without betraying your inner compass of a friendship that you've created over the years?
What you've just asked me is a thing I've wrestled with for 40 years. And the answer I came up with for myself, at least, was if it's relevant to the creation of music, it's relevant.
Okay.
And if he talks about something publicly, then it may be part of the story. But there are a couple of things in the book that I really was like, should I put that in there or not? And I decided, they were too important not to.
Like with the Queen when he yelled.
No, the thing with the Queen was hilarious. This is 20 years ago. I mean, talk about a timely story. Brian was the only American rock and roller invited to be part of the Queen's Golden Jubilee. And we got very strict instructions. You do not address the Queen unless she talks to you, et cetera, et cetera. At the very end of the show, all the artists are gathered as the Queen comes on stage, and Brian pushes Ozzy Osbourne out of the way. He goes, "Hi, Queen."
That's funny.
That's great. That is great. Listen, you did. Let's talk about the Bee Gees for a second. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart on HBO?
Amazing,
phenomenal.
amazing.
What was that like putting that together with those guys? I mean, that was really very well done.
Frank Marshall and his team really, you got to give them the credit.
Yeah. You were a consultant on that.
I was a consultant, and what happened was I had made a film back in 2000 called "This Is Where I Came In" about the Bee Gees. So when they went to make "How Can You Mend a Broken Heart," that's Barry Gibb.
Yeah.
The night of a big Narish tribute to the Bee Gees. You guys really plowed the web finding stuff on me. The interviews I had shot with Barry and his brothers, Robin and Morris, it was the last time the three of them had been interviewed in a comprehensive way. Wow. So they used those interviews, somewhere between 30-35% of How Can You Mend a Broken Heart. And there they are. That's Robin in the middle. Robin had the I started a joke. He had that voice. And Barry was, the main
falsetto,
song.
Right? Yeah.
Barry's the one who brought falsetto to the
nice, Suki. That was excellent. David, I was going to say, how big, you mentioned Staying Alive. I mean, Saturday Night Fever, I mean, that was the catapult for those guys, right into the mainstream of pop culture.
It was amazing. I met them just after Saturday Night Fever to write their biography.
Wow.
It was after the book on Brian and the Beach Boys that they were looking for somebody to write their authorized biography.
Right.
And somebody at RSO Records read my book in Galleys and said, "That's the guy." And so I found myself at Criteria Studio in Miami with the Bee Gees, like out of nowhere. And the first night I was there, everybody left except the two engineers and Barry. And Barry says, "Well, you can stay if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, I want."
Yeah.
And so I sat on a couch right opposite the glass. He's on the other side of the glass singing the lead vocal for a new song for the album, a song called "Too Much Heaven," which is one of the most beautiful songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, is this as great as I think it is?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be
as great. Yeah.
Yes.
It's high as a mountain and harder to climb. Right? Is that it? No. Come on, Dave. Let me hear it a little bit. I know you want to sing.
Got a lot of love inside, and it flows through you, and it flows through me. And I don't remember the words
in my life.
There you go.
when Brian Wilson inducted the Bee Gees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's the song he did.
Oh, wow.
And the night before, I was in a hotel room with Barry and Brian as Brian's getting coached by Barry.
Right.
And that night when Brian sang it, at the next table, Crosby, Stills, and Nash were there.
Wow.
And when Brian hit that note, David Crosby in a very loud voice goes, "Oh my God." There's Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Yeah, Neil. When Brian played, Neil Young puts on a benefit for his kids' school, the Bridge School, and the first year Brian played it, it was unbelievable. I was standing on the side of the stage. Pete Townsend was on my left, and Neil Young was on my right, and it was an all acoustic show.
Right.
Incredible.
And after about the third song, Brian is saying to the band, "I want to do Good Vibrations," and they're all shaking their head no, because they hadn't rehearsed it acoustically. After the next song, Brian says it, and they all go no. And Neil Young says to me, "What's going on?" And I said, "He wants to do Good Vibrations, but they didn't rehearse it acoustic." And Neil in that voice goes, "I love it. He's still out there." After the next song, Brian says into the microphone so 20,000 people can hear, "Y'all want some Good Vibrations?" And the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
You have to do Good Vibrations.
I love
So
it.
Brian is so sweet. He loves bringing his music to the world, and it's been a very tough life for him.
Yeah.
And it's been a roller coaster. Fortunately, he found, a second wife after the Weird Doctor, and has what he called emotional security, which allowed him to do the work he's done in the last 30 years.
Yeah. And the name of the book is God Only Knows, A Story of Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, and the California Myth. David, before we go, and we got Elaine Hendrix coming up in just a few minutes. Before we go, I know you also did a documentary. I mean, listen, we could talk to you for the next 3 hours, but you did a documentary with Dion, right?
Yes.
First of all, I need to get Dion on the show. Number one, because I can't tell you how many times I have sang, I'm the type of guy that never settled down. And also, here's my story. It's sad, but true. Now, here's the thing. I reached out to Dion, right?
David's going to make it happen.
No, I found his guy, and I don't know his name, but on email. I found his guy. And when I reach out to people, it's basically, hey, we'd love to have David Leaf on the show. Here's the sizzle reel of the show. Let me know. So I send one to this guy for Dion. And I said, hey, we'd love to have Dion on the show. Here it is. Let me know if he can make it. He writes me back like 3 days later. He says, he says, I'm underwhelmed by your, he says,
I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah. He says, I'm underwhelmed by your attempt to get Dion on the show.
Well, so I have good news for you, Scott. He's no longer Dion's guy.
Right. Okay. Good.
Oh, good.
And in the film with the we're just finishing with Dion, Springsteen recites the lyrics to The Wanderer, and he says he always sings it to his wife to annoy her. And then she sings "Run Around Sue" back to him.
Oh my God!
What a great story.
So I wrote him back. I said, all right, let me try this, because now I got to be a wise ass. Because I said, dear so and so, Dion is one of my favorite performers anywhere. Since I'm 10 years old, I've been singing "Run Around Sue" and "The Wanderer" and so on and so forth, and he never answered me back. So
when the film comes out, we will get Dion on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Dion, I think it was on here in New York, like on Good Day New York, on a show Suki and I used to compete against. And I wrote back to the guy and I said, you can't tell me that Good Day New York kissed your ass enough to get Dion on that show. There's no way. So but I'd love to have him on. Unreal. Anyway, David, listen, absolute honor. Got to have you back, because we didn't talk about Kiss. We didn't talk about, a lot of things.
Oh, my God.
Billy Joel, and you've done so many things. But for right now, it's called God Only Knows, the story of Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, and the California Myth. I assume available everywhere books are sold, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And you go to my website, you can, there's a link to take you to Amazon, but it's available now. It's out tomorrow officially, but if you order from Amazon, they'll probably deliver tomorrow. So yes.
Beauty.
And David, the question that we want to know: what is the class you'll be teaching now?
Yeah, you got to. You're going to
UCLA? Of the class?
What class you teaching tonight, Dave?
I teach a course called Docs That Rock, Docs That Matter, about music documentaries. It kind of makes sense because that's what I do. And then I teach another course on the Beatles.
Oh,
have you heard of them?
Well, yeah.
And then I have a third class on songwriting, where I get the best songwriters in the world to come sit on the stage with their guitar or at the piano. So I've had everybody from Jimmy Webb to Randy Newman to Mike Posner.
Oh my God, Randy Newman!
Oh yeah, it's a real great privilege to teach these unbelievably smart kids at UCLA.
Love it. David, listen, welcome anytime, my friend. Could talk to you all night. Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you.
Absolute pleasure. And give Sharon a big kiss for us. And
Sharon wanted you to sing. It's somewhere
yeah, Sharon said she told me you were going to sing. That's why I had you on in the first place.
I may not always love you, as long as there are stars above you. That's the title song for the book. God only knows.
God only knows what
I'd be without
David, thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much. So long,
my
so
man.
Bye, David. Thank you so much.
Bye,
you.
Suk, what a great career.
You know what? I think that's my favorite Beach Boys song, too.
What, God Only Knows?
Yeah, one of.
Let me get us back to God Only Knows. Suki, there's so many of them. When you write down the list of songs.
Right.
I mean, I wrote down a couple of them. We didn't even talk about, I mean, you got Good Vibration, Surfing USA. My 409 is my favorite. How about Kokomo when they sang that with John Stamos?
With Kokomo.
Right? I Get Around and God Only Knows and Ba 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 Ba. Suki, I'm going to ask you one question, and the answer better be yes, because I know you. A lot of times I ask you about movies and TV shows, and sometimes you're not on par with the regular stuff.
I'm not.
Have you seen Parent Trap, Sue?
Love Parent Trap.
You've seen it with Lindsay Lohan as the twins.
Yes.
Dennis Quaid.
My eyes are going crazy. Yes.
Dennis
Quaid.
Our good friend, our good friend Lisa Ann Walter, who was on the show recently.
Yes.
Well, you remember Elaine Hendrix was on the show. She played Meredith. She was the beautiful younger.
Was the foil.
Yes, she was the beautiful younger girlfriend of Dennis Quaid. So she is coming up now. And she's actually the reason why I love Elaine Hendrix is because of her animal activism. You know, we've had so many people on here, so many celebs are full into the animal activism and the pets and the rescue.
And we learn so much from
we
them,
love
actually.
them. We love that stuff because you and I are dog and animal lovers. So she's getting an award, a Celebrity Activist Award at the Last Chance for Animals Compassion Gala. At the Beverly Hills Hotel, the Beverly Hilton, I should say, next month. So we're going to talk to her about all that stuff. She's in Dynasty right now. Remember Dynasty when we were young?
This iteration of Dynasty is amazing.
She's been in so many great things. I'm going to give you, I put together a little This Is Your Life for her because I can't really play any of the movies because all that stuff's copyrighted. So I went to work today. I made a little, like it's her bar mitzvah type of thing, a little
bar
montage.
mitzvah thing? Okay, good.
And so here she is, Elaine Hendrix. And then we're going to bring her in on the other side. Take a look. There she is, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Elaine. How are you?
Unmute, Elaine. Unmute. There you
There
go.
we go.
Ah, look
Hi.
at you.
Hi, how are you? So nice to meet you.
You too. So two quick things. Number one, with that bat mitzvah, do I get presents? Do I
You
get all the
get-
presents? for being with
You
you?
always get presents.
You
Okay,
get a lot of
good.
checks for $54. You get a lot of
I
checks.
love it. Let's make it. And then, if you wanted to keep David on to talk more about all these bands, feel free. I was
Wasn't it
enthralled.
fascinating? I mean, how
So
many
fascinating.
documentaries from the Bee
Oh
Gees
my
to
God.
I mean,
Let-
I
let me
wanted
just-
to talk a little bit more about like everything else that he's done. I mean, he's just phenomenal.
I had picked David's got pictures with Mickey Mantle and Paul Simon, and here he is in the back. He's in the back with Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. Oh my God.
Ringo Starr.
Was that the Traveling Wilburys when they were doing that? Wow.
Look, I got it with Yoko Ono.
I mean, crazy.
But we'll have David back. Elaine, so glad to have you. Such I feel like God. When you watch somebody on TV your whole life, you feel like you know them. We kind of know what that feels like. Suki and I being on here in New York, and people come up and they feel like they know you, but it's weird for you because you're like, well, I don't know who you are.
I don't know who she is. I don't know who Elaine is, but I know her.
But I feel like we know you for such a long time, and your career just continues to gangbusters. What can you say? I mean, you're one of the lucky ones, right?
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely amazing.
Luck and a lot of hard work.
Yeah, no, I
mean,
can
to be
imagine.
a working actor in LA, I could only imagine. In Hollywood, I cannot. And you have been seamless in your work schedule. I mean, there's a lot to it. But before we do that, let's talk about your activism. It kind of just started in 2006, I believe, when you changed your lifestyle and became a vegan, or how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, the long and short of it is when I started doing projects that became particularly visible, I was invited to a lot of charity events.
Wow.
And I said yes, because that's how I was raised. You get involved, and I love that. But I didn't feel like I was really making a difference. I just felt like I was showing up, and I don't know. And so I really wanted to have a platform where I felt like I could measure that and feel like, yes, okay, I'm making a difference here. And I sat down at the computer and I just brainstormed about like, what are my passions? What do I love? And animals was the first thing. So I typed that in. And I watched an undercover fur video.
Oh, it's
and
awful.
It's awful. I had no idea. And I'm such an animal lover, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know. And then that just led me down a rabbit hole. And now here I am. Right after seeing that video, I went through my home and I threw out everything that had been tested on animals. I sold my car because it had leather interior. I got rid of all my leather. I was already vegetarian. And so I started making my way towards veganism, and I haven't looked back.
Wow,
incredible! That is amazing. And listen, I know you were into dogs since you're a little kid, no?
Oh, look at you!
So quick, a little side note about that. That was my dog Lassie, and I was always disgusted when people didn't recognize her from the TV show Lassie. and then that towel. I cut my own hair, and so I wore that towel as my hair for like a year.
That is great. That is great. Doesn't really look like Lassie though.
Scott, how dare you?
Wait, let me check again. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I misspoke. It really actually does.
I gotta go get my sweetheart.
Yeah, Sue, go get Leo for a second. Elaine, so anyway, so you're getting this activist award, right? For it's LCA International. Oh, there's Leo. There's Leo, love. Get him up there, Sue.
Oh, you little
my little floof animal.
Yeah,
Leo is Leo. Elaine, it took me years to convince Suki to get a dog, and she finally pulled the trigger, and now she's in love. She's in love with the dog.
It happens.
I think, you know what my daughter said the other day? She goes, I think you like Leo more than you like me, love me. And I was like, maybe.
Listen, Elaine, real quick, I want to talk about the gala in just a second. We'll talk more about it because I know there have been so many great people. It's so star-studded. I think Priscilla Presley is supposed to be there, right? She was But real quick, because I need you to clear something up. We had Lisa Ann Walter on with us a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We were talking about Abbott Elementary and her time on Parent Trap. And I know you. What was it like working with her on that show? I mean, I know you guys had a couple scenes together, and I know you're fairly close. You're good friends. What was it like? Your best friend. So what was it like working with her on that show? Was she a pain in the butt back then? Like as a kind of a newbie, you know, in a major motion picture? What was it like?
Well, I mean, I just remember every single day of going on set to the Parent Trap, and just being sheer joy.
Right.
And, you know, Lisa and I didn't have a lot of scenes together, but we were there a lot and we did a lot of waiting because Lindsay had to always film both scenes. And, you know, so there was a lot of changeover, and she and I got to have just a lot of bonding time, and we haven't stopped. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, because when we had her on, she told a little differently. I mean, she thought you were a little bit of a pain in the butt.
A little bit.
But I just wanted to get her in here.
Really say that?
I just wanted
No. Oh my God, you guys are so mean girls.
Oh, we're not, Lisa. Come on.
You like totally like we're playing that game where you get one of your girlfriends on the phone, but you don't tell her that the other girlfriend's on, and you're like, oh my God, don't you think that Lindsay's like just a jerk? Oh my God, she always borrows my stuff and doesn't give it back. I never said anything bad about you, Elaine, and thank God you didn't say anything bad.
What if I did? What if I was like, yeah, she was kind of snotty and
That's really what I was hoping for.
Hey, listen, if you want dirt on Lisa Ann Walter, I'm definitely the one to go to.
Exactly right. She's got all the dirt.
Well, wait, real quick. So Lisa, I asked Lisa to pop on, and I know, Lisa, you have a premiere coming up tonight.
Yeah,
and you got some cast members, right? So tell us real quick before you go. I just wanted you to pop in and say hi.
This is not my promo time. This is all about Elaine and all the stuff she does for animals. It's just season 2 is premiering tonight.
Abbott Elementary?
Yeah, it's 45 minutes. In 45 minutes. When you get done with this, you can go watch it. Or
you mean the one that our girl Cheryl Lee Ralph just won an Emmy for?
Yeah, that one.
That one. Okay, I was just checking.
I'm sorry, busted down the house with her acceptance.
Oh my God!
Miss, you have to say it like this: Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Yeah, Cheryl Lee.
Barbara Howard. She's, but anyway, I just wanted to. They said, "Hey, Elaine's coming on. Do you want to come on?" And I'm like, "Yes," so I can tell the whole world that I can't wait to see you because you're coming to hang out and sleep in my bed for 4 days.
You guys are best friends. You guys are.
Where's Buster? I got her dogs. Where's Buster? Where's Buster?
Oh my God.
Here, Buster.
Busty.
Buster, come. Here he
That's
is.
so funny. Where is
Buster.
he? Hey, Buster.
Oh my God! And Ellie just. So we have sibling dogs, and Ellie and Buster are siblings. And I just said Buster, and Ellie raised her head up, looking around for him.
He's licking my legs, Elaine.
That is great. Nothing better, man. Nothing better.
Hey,
Lisa,
you got a new rug, a new couch.
Yeah, it's actually a new cover.
Okay, I can't wait to see it.
Where'd she go? Did we just lose? Oh, there she is. Oh. Lisa Ann, listen, thank you so much. Good luck with the premiere tonight.
Congratulations on Abbott Elementary.
We love you, and you could have been a little better on Password with Fallon, but you not Password, Pyramid.
Awful. You guys, can I just tell you that I killed it in the practice rounds? Killed it. I beat everybody. Nobody could touch me. And then I got on there and they weren't giving me the same kind of clues as the people who run the show, and I fell apart. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I fell the F apart. Elaine, if this happened during one of your game nights, I would have been so mad you would have had to have kicked me out.
Wait, how often do you guys do game nights? How often do you guys do game nights and everything?
Well, we used to when she was in town, but now that she's moved, never. And I don't know that she'll ever let me be in another game night. I was so competitive.
It's a little competitive.
I love it. I love it.
She gets a little edgy.
Please, thank you so much. I'm so glad you had a chance to pop in.
Lisa, thank you.
Love you, Lane.
Take care, sweetie.
See you tomorrow.
There you go. How to get Lisa Ann and
you guys used to live near each other, and now you don't live near each other, or?
Yeah, I used to live in LA, and now I live in Atlanta. Because I moved to New York, and then for for a show, and then I moved to Atlanta for Dynasty, and I'm just staying here.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Dynasty.
Can we talk about Dynasty? It is amazeballs.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Let's talk about, well, let's revisit the old Dynasty.
Yes, but
And
the
then
new
let's-
iteration.
God, look at that.
Right? Could you look at Diane Carroll? Is that Diane Carroll back
Yeah.
there? Right?
Yes,
On the right-hand
Yes,
side?
the Diane Carroll.
Oh
yes.
my God, what a great show. And let me see. So here it is. Here's the new cast right here.
So good.
And you guys are just what's Elaine, did you watch the old one back before you started appearing on this one? Did you go back to see how people acted and just different twerks
The
in there?
Carringtons. The
Yeah, the Carringtons and you play Alexis?
I do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't have to go back and watch. I remember I watched it as a young as a little girl. I remember it very well. But our version is so different. I mean, we have nods to the original, but ours is so different. It's not really comparable.
Right.
But I mean, for me, it's just another like I knocking on that wood again. I've had such a career of playing these iconic roles that I don't go into it like thinking like, oh, I'm going to set out to carve this particular type of career. It's just happened. And I've been very, very fortunate. And Alexis Carrington, I'm not sure if it gets more iconic than that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there is an iconic role that I loved you in, even I think, but maybe before Parent Trap, when you were on Married with Children.
Married with Children.
I did 2 different episodes and played 2 entirely different characters on that show.
What a great show. I used to love that one. But listen, let's go back to Parent Trap for a second, because, so many people just know you as Meredith from Parent Trap. And, Dennis Quaid, I saw, I think in an interview where you said that, you were what, about 20 years younger than him, playing his girlfriend at the time in the show in real life. And you actually said that it really wasn't an awkward thing. Like you guys really had some good chemistry together.
We did. I mean, Dennis is such he's just such a dude. He's like this guy's.
He looks like a dude. He looks like a guy's guy.
He's a guy's guy. He, at lunch every day, he would have schmutz all over his shirt. It's just so hanging out with him, it was just easy peasy. And we had a lot of fun.
That is great. Such a
I
great
just love
movie.
that because there's all of these kids who were raised, like Lindsay Lohan is probably now 30 something or something like that, or late 30s or early 40s. And now they actually understand what happened.
Yeah, they do.
Why relationships are so complex and why you really weren't the bad guy. You were just the foil.
I was just misunderstood.
You were misunderstood.
But Suki, let's not start doing math around this movie, okay?
You know what? I get you. I feel you on that one. We're right there with each other.
Listen,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say you were. You played. You were the foil, but you dressed sexy at the time, and it just was one of those things where we wanted to like you, but it was hard to like you. We liked you because you were, you were the young, hot, good-looking girl, and we were happy for Dennis Quaid. But it was kind of the relationship between you
were
and
happy
Lindsay.
for Dennis Quaid.
I was happy. Well, yeah,
let's be real.
But it was just such a fantastic movie, and of course a remake. From I think like 1968 was the original.
Mm-hmm.
And again, was there any looking back at the original Parent Trap, or you don't even let's not even go.
The original Parent Trap was like 1950s.
Yeah. No, yeah. Hold on. I wrote it down
51,
somewhere.
like really, because my mom wanted to be Haley
1961. I'm sorry. It was 1961.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was with Maureen O'Hara.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so do you, as you're preparing for a movie like that, do you go back and look, or you want to kind of just make it your own so you don't try to be like the old?
Well, that's another case of, our version, man, it just I've done my fair share of remakes and sequels.
Yeah.
I did go back and watch the original several times. However, once again, our version was pretty different. The details were
Yeah.
different. So there wasn't, I mean, the steeliness and the coolness, because Joanna Barnes played my role in the original.
In the original?
In the original, and her name was Vicky. She played my mom in the remake.
Oh, okay.
And so I liked that coolness that she had in the original, and so I knew that Meredith needed to have that as well.
And when you were doing this, did you know that it would be like this cult phenomena, this like classic for so many people, and then you would launch this little girl who would then turn into this like kind of this
megastar,
the zenith that just kind of shot into outer space for so many of us, you know?
Yeah, no clue. I mean, we knew that Nancy Myers and Charles Shire, who wrote it and she directed it and he produced, that their movies became, you know, huge hits. Yeah, everything they touch is just gold. So we knew that, but I mean, it is 20 some years later, and still like plays all the time. Every single day I get an email, someone on the street, on social media, like it's.
And you know what? Everybody wants to go down rabbit holes these days. They want to like know where everybody is, what they're doing, what they were thinking, you know, and they go, you know, like they revisit it so hard. They do these deep dives into movies, which I just watched them.
Just watch. And you know what? The good thing is
millennials.
A movie like Parent Trap stands up, you know, today for young kids to watch it. It's not like it doesn't get outdated, and it's just, you know, it's one of those evergreen type movies where it could just, you know, 10 years from now it'll still be good for kids to watch.
Not like Dynasty, though.
No, not like Dynasty.
No, it's a little sexy,
a little sexier on the Dynasty. Yeah,
it's a feel-good movie that touches on a lot of universal themes. So it's really got something for everyone in it.
Do you? I'm going to talk about the gal in 1 second, but do you like playing a character like this? Kind of, you know, that
steely
Alexis,
head of family.
Yeah, you know, the sexy, you know, you always got something cooking, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of fun with them. I'm good at it. And so it's just, for me, it's like, the first image that came to mind is so unsexy. I was going to say, it's like putting on a bathrobe, you know? It's like, just cozy, yummy bathrobe. I just, you know.
I know her. I know that girl.
You're comfortable. All right, well, here we go. The 2022 gala. You are being honored, the Celebrity Activist Award. It's October 15th in Beverly Hills at the Beverly Hilton. And I would think that something like this for you, someone who's put in so much work, you know, whether it's, you know, rescuing, adopting, fostering, the whole deal. And again, when you see the star-studded event like this, Elaine, I have to think that something like this is really something that you're looking forward to, and it's got to be a big honor for you because it's something you're really so passionate about.
Yeah, it's very much an honor, because I'm not someone who simply talks about helping animals or doesn't, like, I've been deep into the trenches and I've done a lot for a long time. So I always tell people that acting is my day job and animals is my life job. And so to be honored, really, I mean, listen, anytime anybody wants to give you an award, I think that's such a special thing. In full honesty, though, for me, it's about showing up for Last Chance for Animals. It's really about them, and whatever support I can lend them and the spotlight on their work I can help shine on. For me, that's my purpose. That's what I'm here for. So I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's going to be a great night. And I see Donna DeErico is there, and you know, she was on the show a long time, one of our first shows. She actually had the parrot, Sue. Remember, she had the parrot on her.
She had a parrot on her shoulder. The whole interview. It was funny.
So no, that's going to be great. And again, it's coming up on the October 15th
at 6 p.m.
at the Beverly Hilton. So that's going to be a great night for you. Other than Dynasty, are there any other big projects in the works for you?
Um, you know, these days it's like everybody always has like, we get your scripts watermarked and you got to sign for everything and blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, I can't really talk about anything right now.
Okay.
You're all NDA'd up.
I'm all NDA'd up, but I'll just say this, like there's things in the works that within the next year, there'll like be some fun announcements and fun things happening. So I look forward to, maybe coming back and sharing.
You got to come back. You got to come back. And one other thing I wanted to ask you, because I saw this picture, but I didn't know what it was from.
Oh no.
Because
the high school picture.
No, it's actually, now that you mentioned high school, before
we have it.
This is from what is this from with Luke Perry? Because I saw you had this out. And I'm we're huge fans of his, and I was a big Riverdale fan with my kids, and 90210. What was this show that you were in with him?
This was a movie we did called Good Intentions.
Okay.
It was an independent film. I love this movie. It's so fun and quirky, and he was so great to work with. And when the news broke of his passing, I posted this picture because this was our little family on the set. And so it brought back a lot of very sweet memories.
Oh yeah, no, that terrible when that came about. And speaking of high school reunions, I mean, Romy and Michelle, this is also a cult classic.
So good.
Yeah.
And you played, just the real nasty girl, even at the reunion. No.
I end up I help save the day.
At the end, okay.
Yeah. I'm the good guy.
All right, I because I saw a couple of clips as I was looking for some stuff, and you were mostly nasty in the clips I looked at, Elaine.
Well, I'm nasty to the nasty girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to say that I was jealous of was also one of my all-time favorites of a kid was Don Adams. Don Adams.
Don Adams. Yes.
It's Barbara Feldon?
Barbara Feldon and Andy Dick.
Oh my God. And you were doing Get Smart, right?
This was my first series I ever did, and it was a remake of Get Smart.
Oh my God, so good.
But from the time it was on Fox, and like from the time we shot the pilot to the time it came on air, Fox had gone through a couple of different regimes of who was running it, and we didn't get the support, and we didn't quite get our legs underneath us, but man, it was so incredible to work with them, and the stories. I mean, they just told the best stories. I had lunch every day with Don Adams and just listened to him like this.
Oh my God, I could imagine him with his chief cones of silence.
Yes.
The best.
He told me a really great story, and I'll just summarize it in saying that there was an episode that Don Rickles did in the original, and they were chained to a wall, and they kept cracking each other up and kept ruining the takes over and over and over, that the crew left them during lunch, chained to the wall, wouldn't have lunch, and when they came back, they're still just cracking each other up.
That is very funny. That is very funny.
And what was it like to work with a very young, oh my God,
Andy Dick?
Andy Dick. I mean, holy moly.
Yeah, that was we were both babies, and Andy and I have remained friends all these years. That was that was 94, I think, 1994. And so I've known Andy even longer than Lisa. And Andy's gone through a lot, but he keeps bouncing back, and he's so talented, and I just love him so much.
It's amazing. Elaine, listen, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have you on. For a lot of us, you'll be remembered like this. And but listen, again, you're getting the big award. Congratulations, October 15th, and just have a great time. Take it all in, and just keep doing what you're doing for those animals, because they
don't have a voice. They need a big voice.
They're better than people.
Yeah, they really are.
Yes, they are.
Elaine Hendrix. Elaine, thank you so much. Continued success.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks,
you're an
Suki.
absolute
Bye.
pleasure.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you very
Elaine.
much, Elaine.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Y'all take care.
Take
We
care.
will. Thank you.
Bye-bye. What a great career, Sue. What a
I mean, it's such
great
a,
lady.
and she's so young. I mean, it's just gonna, like she said, she's working on projects and she's all NDA'd up, and it's just the way it goes.
And Sue,
All
listen,
right.
before we go, here's where we are right now, young lady.
Everywhere, people, everywhere.
We are basically everywhere. Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, Shmoku, you name it, we're there. Kiku, the Japanese restaurant, we're there too. It doesn't even matter.
We'll be putting on a hibachi show, folks.
Yeah, it's all good. Listen, we're back tomorrow night. Brian Balthazar is with us. Big executive producer, The View, the Today Show. And we'll get us, somebody to entertain us as well. Suk, another fine program, an award-winning program, young lady. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll leave you one more time.
We're resting down our surfboards. We can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer. We're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing USA. Where else, Phil?